You are watching Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Stone Shields. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here this evening. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about some of the good news and the bad news the Bengals have received over the past few days, really ever since NFL free agency has gotten underway, as well as the few days leading up to that as well. It's kind of been a whirlwind here the past few days. Bengals made a bunch of moves. Yesterday, I had 4 videos that went out for you guys here on the channel, and today I was kind of expecting Cincinnati to do something else, but as of now, as we're filming this here at 6 o'clock, they have not done anything, so more of a traditional video coming at you guys here this evening. Before we get into it, though, make sure you guys give me a like on today's video if you have not done so already. If you want the Bengals to pay their stars, who am I talking about? More specifically, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. You can throw Trey Hendrickson in there as well. If you want the Cincinnati Bengals to pay their stars, help us out. Like today's video for me right now. Going for over 500 likes on this video. I know there's going to be a few of you guys that watch this one, so help me out. Hit that thumbs up icon if you haven't done so already. Let's start with the good news here for the Cincinnati Bengals. That is, they signed Mike Gesicki to a 3-year deal worth $25.5 million, and they were able to get this done prior to free agency. And there are a lot of benefits that come with doing deals before free agency. You don't have to pay that free agent tax, right, that we hear about all the time. And one of the things that really stood out to me as we've kind of seen the tight end market progress here over the past few days, by the way, the tight end market has been pretty much non-existent. Not a ton of big-name NFL tight ends out there in free agency, at least haven't been signed here at this point. But the next guy that went a little bit earlier today was Juwan Johnson, and look at his deal. 3 years, $30.75 million. Now, no disrespect to Johnson. He's a good player, deserves that, a big contract. But Mike Gesicki's clearly the better tight end. There really is no question about that in my mind. And the Bengals were able to get him at a cheaper rate because they acted a little bit earlier before free agency, and they reaped the benefits of that. Obviously, we are frustrated with some of the things the Bengals haven't done, but I thought this was good execution here for Cincinnati. More specifically on Gesicki, I kind of expected the fan base, as I'm just kind of fueling through things here, filtering through the comments, right, on social media, hearing people out in the streets, whatever, talking about the Bengals. I was expecting people to be more excited because we were kind of talking about, the big four. Mike Gesicki kind of got thrown in by Joe Burrow, and we all wanted Mike Gesicki back. At least I wanted Mike Gesicki back, and I was really fired up that they were able to get this done. And I hear some people say, well, now he's got to be the wide receiver 3 for you. Okay, great. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki, that's a lot of winning football with those guys. And I'm really excited that Mike Gesicki is back. And I know some people out there nationally are saying, oh, that's an overpay. He hasn't produced for most of his career. It really was kind of an outlier his year last year with Joe Burrow. And my response to that is this. He's going to be with Joe Burrow as long as he stays healthy over the past few years, so no reason he's not going to be able to continue this production. When you look at his career prior to coming to Cincinnati, he had that year in New England where it was just a mess at the quarterback position. How can you execute there? And the years he spent in his rookie deal with the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel was only there for his last year, so he was dealing with Brian Flores, who's one of the worst head coaches we've seen in recent memory. So I've got a lot of optimism that the Bengals made the right call in paying Mike Gesicki. As you take a look at here how this tight end room is starting to shape out here, I would be surprised now if they added to this room. They, of course, brought back Tanner Hudson on a deal as well. Drew Sample is under contract. I think they like what they have in Cam Grandy as well. We saw him get reps ahead of Tanner McLaughlin. Obviously, Eric All Jr. is out for the 2025 season. But at this point, bringing back Mike Gesicki, I wasn't super confident they were going to be able to get it done. So that's kind of why we spent time talking about tight ends in the draft or what have you. But I don't think they're really going to add a tight end, maybe late, 6th, 7th round perhaps. But I don't see them really adding to that room. I think it's pretty much set in stone at this point. Leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. Are you happy Gesicki signed a long-term deal with the Cincinnati Bengals? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Type Y for yes or N for no. I know I'm certainly happy. See if you guys are still on board. That ad comes here on YouTube. Totally fine. Take advantage of it. Take it down in the comments and let us know what you think. All right, at the top of today's show, talked about how it was good news and bad news. We're going to transition to the bad news here, then we'll go back to the good news to close out today's video. Let's talk T. Higgins. Of course, given the franchise tag. As of now, he'll be playing under the franchise tag, 1 year, $26 million deal. What happened over the course of the past couple of days? Well, DK Metcalf got traded, number one, from Seattle to Pittsburgh, and also got the bag as well when you're talking about his deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really did kind of break the bank and really finds himself out the top of that list. We'll get into that money here in a second, but do want to compare these two real quick, T. Higgins and DK Metcalf. This is kind of just their 2024 stats, but as you can tell here from these numbers, T. Higgins, better season, I would say, than DK Metcalf. Certainly doubled him up from a touchdowns perspective, and, for a reception standpoint as well, got more. Now, did he have better quarterback play? Yeah, but he also played fewer games as well with only 12 games there. I think, in my opinion, T. Higgins clearly a better wide receiver. I would say, maybe I'm just being a homer there. I don't know what people around the league would say, but I would take T. Higgins over DK Metcalf at this point. Again, is a year younger. Now let's take a look at the highest paid wide receivers per year. That deal he's getting with Pittsburgh is going to pay him $33 million per year. Third highest paid wide receiver. Unbelievable. And why is that bad news for Cincinnati? Because T. Higgins' asking price just went up, and it went up drastically. It's a 4-year deal, $132 million for DK Metcalf. Cincinnati probably could have signed T. Higgins certainly this offseason to a $30 million type per year type of deal. Last offseason it could have very well been in the 20s, but now this just continues to go up as the Bengals continue to stall with this process with their top two receivers. We'll talk Ja'Marr Chase here in a second, but first a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. I want to let you guys know that Bengals Sideline hats are out now. They're available now. They have been. We've been talking about them for you guys for a couple of weeks now. It's chatsports.com/Bengals Sideline. Got a few of these myself. Absolutely love rocking them. Obviously, it's the off season. That's totally fine. Doesn't mean you can't rock some Cincinnati Bengals swag, courtesy of our friends over at Fanatics. By the way, that link will be in the comments section and the description of today's video. That's chatsports.com/Bengals Sideline. All right, let's get into some more bad news here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Myles Garrett signing an extension with the Cleveland Browns, 4 years, $160 million. How about that? Making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. Do want to just make a quick note about Myles Garrett. It is kind of funny how he requested a trade, right? And then, cited that, hey, he wanted to win more football games as to why, he was requesting a trade. And then all of a sudden he goes, you know what, I'm just fine here in Cleveland. 4 years, $160 million, that's totally fine. We can stick around for that. But this directly impacts Ja'Marr Chase. There really is no two ways about it. Let's kind of go back in time to the NFL Combine when Duke Tobin was talking about Ja'Marr Chase. We at Chat Sports were here for the NFL Combine. This is what Duke Tobin said. Ja'Marr Chase, is going to end up being the number one paid non-quarterback in the league. We're there. Let's get it done. The earlier we can do some of this stuff, the freer it gives us to build the rest of the team. We have other needs that we want to build, and so we want to get those kind of things done early enough to where we can really focus on building out the rest of the football team. But they're all priorities to us, but the ones that aren't signed are the ones that are on the table first. Duke Tobin went out there and he said, hey, we're trying to make him the highest paid wide receiver in the National Football League, the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. Well, you got a ways to go after that deal from Myles Garrett. Also, on top of that, a cryptic post from Ja'Marr Chase. For the record, I hate the fact that we got to talk about this. It's kind of, maybe I'm just old school, whatever, but for whatever reason, the younger generation, Ja'Marr's a year older than me, but the younger generation loves going on social media and doing these cryptic posts. We've seen it. All athletes do it. It was his birthday. He celebrated his 25th birthday a few days ago. Put up a post on Instagram, had a bunch of pictures with his buddies, and the last one was a note that said, know your worth and add tax. And obviously, all the people around here seem to think that he is talking about his contract with the Cincinnati Bengals. So that's just more, perhaps tension between Cincinnati as an organization and Ja'Marr Chase. Obviously, tension is something that you would want to avoid. Doesn't seem like Cincinnati's doing too good a job of that with T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. What is your confidence level in the Bengals getting the Chase deal done? Let me know in the comments section. Scale it for me 1 to 10. All right, we went good news, we went bad news. Let's go back to some good news here for Ian Rapoport. He went on Pat McAfee on Monday, and he had this to say. He said, I think Ja'Marr Chase is waiting. Even though it's awesome to get deals done immediately, if you wait, they just get higher. I think you're right. I think Ja'Marr Chase is in an unbelievable place. It's going to sting for the Bengals, but I really think they get it done, and I actually think they probably get both of those guys done. Of course, talking about T. Higgins there as well. Now, look, instant reaction to this, that's reassuring to hear Rap say that, right? Rap does a great job covering the league. He's, obviously wrong a decent amount like anybody is, but he's usually right, I would say. And if he has confidence that both of them will get done, I think that should give us confidence here as a fan base. But there is just a growing uneasiness here with this fan base. And I feel it, and totally myself, and I feel it from all you guys as well. Because Cincinnati, as an organization, has done this in the past. It kind of just feels like same old, same old. They're just going to mess around, and then we'll see if they get it done last minute or not. There's certainly a growing uneasiness. There is a growing frustration at this point as well. Because it's not like years past. You're there. You got your guys. You just got to go pay them, and then you can go out there and compete. It's not like, you need to be aggressive and sign a ton of guys. No, you just got to pay your own guys, pay your stars. That certainly creates a lot of frustration for the fan base. I totally get it. I totally feel it. And unfortunately, I think it was probably just a little unrealistic for us to think that there was any way in heck that they would be able to get deals done with Ja'Marr Chase and or T. Higgins prior to free agency. Now, at this point, I'm not expecting deals anytime soon, right? Because the whole idea of getting these done early was that so you could limit the cap hits, right, from both T. Higgins and Ja'Marr Chase, so you could have a little bit more money to spend in free agency. Well, now day 2 of free agency is winding down. It wasn't a great class to begin with, but most of the great good players were gone day 1, so it's really not going to do you any good. Unfortunately, I would expect both of these things to drag out until probably the summertime. Now, make sure you guys hit that sub button if you haven't done so already. That's youtube.com/Bengals TV. We will be here all week long detailing the latest when it comes to Cincinnati Bengals and their free agency situation. Of course, when deals are done, hopefully at some point with Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, we will have you covered on that front as well. But help us out, help yourself out, hit that sub button. Don't miss any of our coverage. youtube.com/Bengals TV.